Hello guys, AdventureBlur here to talk about Splatoon. I know a lot of you heard about Splatoon online recently because of the Final Splatfest, which asks the biggest question for any Splatoon fan. Team Callie or Team Marie? And with that came a resurgence of Splatoon love. And while this subject has been gone over by many YouTubers in the past, I like to talk about the sometimes hilarious, sometimes strange, and sometimes incredibly dark lore of Splatoon. More specifically, the Sunken Scolls and the Great Turf War. Before we begin, I want to let you all know right now that there are spoilers for Splatoon's story mode, and that this video will involve a lot of speculation and theories. A lot of what I'm going to talk about are theories and should not be taken as fact. Only Nintendo can say if any of these are true or false. This is just for fun, so let's get going. The Sunken Scolls are collectibles you find in Octo Valley, the story mode. They give you bits of backstory to the game. Each of the levels have a page, but the ones that come from the boss stages actually give you weapon designs you can take to Sheldon to get new weapons to be able to use in multiplayer. So the ones I want to focus on are, of course, the pages that feature lore from the game. So none of the boss ones will be featured in this video. When it comes to the scrolls, I would like to start with the weirder ones first. And I'm not sure there are any other ones as strange as number 26, which apparently has a human skeleton, and a Wii U, and some sort of wannabe Nintendo 64 controller. But don't worry, it gets weirder. According to the scrolls, this is a 12,000-year-old fossil of a creature with an odd skeleton. Its small skull indicates that the creature was likely primitive with little intelligence. This specimen appears to have been fossilized in the middle of some sort of ritual. First off, a human has very little intelligence because we don't have big heads? I'm not even going to question that logic. Second, it was fossilized in the middle of a ritual that involves a Nintendo system. Well then, I guess Tomodachi Life was right all along. What's interesting is that this isn't the only time humans are mentioned in these Sunken Scolls. As a matter of fact, there is a hidden backstory for Jude, the cat that referees each of the matches in the game. The story is truly trying to be sad, but the ending comes off, well, kind of funny to me. Though academic circles warn of rising sea levels, the policymakers pay them no heed. At this rate, human civilization may be lost beneath the tide. Will even this furry fellow be consumed by the raging ocean? That's dark. This game's rated E10, right? Well, don't worry. According to number 27, Jude, at least, turns out fine. Oh my beloved Jude. It seems this day has finally come. This capsule is designed to remain cryogenically sealed for 10,000 years. Goodbye, my perfect little kitty cat. May your meows echo through the ages. This went from dark to flat out depressing. This gives Jude a very emotional backstory and also makes humans kind of dumb. So we have a capsule that allows any living thing to stay alive for thousands of years. We can save the entire human race with it, make more so that we can save as many living things as we can, but no, we will save some guy's cat. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but why not make more of those capsules? I guess they had a point about those brains earlier. Anyways, now my rant is over, I just want to ask one more thing about this capsule. Or Jude for that matter. Is he immortal? In scroll number 4, which apparently was made 2,000 years before Splatoon takes place, it shows what it describes as the ancient turf wars of the time. That may seem normal, but if you look at the picture you may see that the ref is obviously Jude. Which brings up the question, how is it that he's able to be refereeing turf wars that took place 2,000 years ago? Is he like the Winter Soldier, where they just unfreeze him when they need him? Is he a Time Lord? Is he just on second cat life? I don't know. And the game never explains it either. This isn't the last cameo from that cat either. He also fought in the Great Turf War in number 14 and number 15. So Jude's been doing a ton of stuff since he was frozen. Not bad for a 12,000-year-old cat. Maybe those last scrolls were a little too dark for you. Maybe you would rather enjoy something fun, like music. Well, the scrolls got you covered. In number 17, it gives you a story about the Squid Sisters' first concerts. These two cousins from Calamari County won Inkopolis' first annual youth folk singing contest. Their remarkable voices earned them standing ovations from all present and catapulted them into the spotlight. There you have it. The Squid Sisters, the mascots of the game, were actually cousins. My life is a lie. Also, in case you wanted to know what song they sang, to give you the actual sheet music in number 23. It's called Calamari County, and it's actually the final boss music. And also, The cousins, also have some rivals. I mean that very loosely. They sort of just exist. In number 20, you're told about the Squid Squad's new album. This is the only time I'm aware of that you're told about this band. Though there is an interesting theory going around about them. If you look at the picture of the group, you may notice that one of the group members is not an Inkling. He doesn't have a name, granted, none of them do, but people believe that this guy may be a much younger Spike. If you don't remember who that is and don't want to look it up like I did, he's the urchin that lives in the alley in Inkopolis. If you talk to him and have Super Sea snails, you can trade him for either a new item slot or get another Inkling gear if you find one that you like in the hub. The reason that people think that this guy is Spike is, well, he's the only urchin in the game that we know of. And the fact that Spike is that shady could explain why he's no longer in the band. Maybe he has a grudge, or it could be because of the Super Sea snails that he eats. Yes, you heard me correctly. Those snails that you give him are all but confirmed in the game to be Spike's diet. If you look around him, he has a pile of empty shells with a screwdriver, and on his other side, shaking sea snails. So Inklings pretty much sacrifice snails to this guy in order to get gear that's fresh. And, like the humans from earlier, this isn't the only time other species in Splatoon are told to be eaten. In number 21, it shows a meal made out of shrimps, and a flower mentions that it looks just like the shoe shop owner, Krusty Sheen. Technically speaking, this wasn't from any of the species in Splatoon. This scroll was made by the humans in the game, but it's still just weird they would mention it. I mean, yeah, we do eat shrimps. Do you really want to think of that when you're buying new gear? It just seems strange and once again dark for a kid's game, really. Okay, sorry again for the dark turn. Maybe we can go to something else. How about the natural Inkling? In number 5 we have the terrifying biology of the Inkling. According to this, an Inkling can leap up to 5 feet, which is disproven by the actual game. Unless, of course, it's talking about when you're a kid only and not if you're a squid. If you're a squid though, you can practically jump miles away. Or maybe their math was just wrong, because right after that it says that an Inkling brain is simple and predatory. Also, they have no bones and they can spot prey 100 yards away. Well, now we went through all of those, it's time to go over perhaps the biggest theory about not only the scrolls, but the game as a whole. It all begins with the humans and scrolls 25, 26, and 27. The world is ending. Humans are all but extinct because of rising sea levels. The only one to survive that era was Jude. From what it sounds like, this apocalyptic meltdown could have been caused by radiation, because right after that, the first Inklings and Octarians come and make their homes on land. Years go by, Inklings create turf wars. Jude becomes the ref of the games. Both Inklings and Octarians live in peace and were incredibly close allies and friends. But then, the same thing that destroyed the humans happened to them: rising sea levels. Neither Inklings nor Octarians are immune to water. They did try to work together to find shelter, but that didn't last long because soon the Inklings discovered a power source that could save them all: the great Zapfish. Instead of sharing this though, they hid it. When the Octarians found out, they quickly turned against the Inklings, leading to the Great Turf War. Fairly early in the war, the Octarians had the upper hand because the Inklings couldn't get up fast enough in the morning to stop them. Alright then, to combat the whole, sleeping problem, the Inklings created the Squidbeak Splatoon, which Sheldon's grandfather was a part of. They did win, but very rarely. The Great Octoweapons nearly destroyed the Inklings, until a plug was carelessly pulled out of its socket. Wait, seriously? Someone legit unplugged their weapons. Imagine that with other series, though. I will consume. Wait, I forgot to put the AA batteries in the mask. Well, 1 second, Link, then we can fight, okay? Anyways, back to Turf War. The Octarians, without their weapons, were defeated by the Inklings, though the Inklings claimed that they won because they had more limbs than the Octarians. After that, the Octarians were sent to live underground. Their hopes for living on the surface destroyed by one mistake. They regretted their failure. Almost all of the Inklings forgot the Octarians even existed. They only cared about turf wars, fashion, and music. Those that did remember only remembered because they fought in the war. The biggest example being Captain Cuttlefish. What I am trying to get at is the theory that the Inklings were in the wrong in Splatoon story mode. Think about it. They destroyed the Octarians. forced them to live underground and forgot they existed. Can you blame Doctarians for stealing the Zapfish? I mean, look at Inkopolis. It claims that the Zapfish is their power source. Yet when it goes missing, everything works fine. They don't even care that much that it's gone. The only one that did was Captain Cuttlefish, and he all but demands that you fight the Octarians. Later in the story, you do see the Octarians' weapons of war, but at the same time, you're splatting tons of Octarians each level. Maybe it wasn't for war, but defense. Even later in the game, when Captain Cuttlefish is kidnapped, he's completely unharmed. The Octarians weren't after him or anyone else. They're after you, because in the story, you destroy what little they have. And even after it's all said and done and the Zapfish is rescued, no one recognized the Octarians. They continue not to care for them. The Octarians are just like the Inklings, even being able to transform from a kid to an octopus, yet they lost a war with a friend. The Inklings left them to fend for themselves, and when they tried to survive, an Inkling destroyed what was left. I know it's dark and sad, but this theory just makes too much sense to me. Maybe all of those Sunken Scrolls' dark stories were just hinting at this dark secret people would eventually realize about a game that's meant to be one of the most lighthearted games out there. Or maybe I'm just looking too much into this and need to enjoy the game for what it is. One of the most original and fun games in years. In all seriousness though, I hope you enjoy looking at the scrolls. Splatoon may be a game that's aimed for kids that has a dark and crazy backstory. Or maybe it's just us fans having a blast searching for some mind-blowing theories in the game. The fact is that it's just for fun. Pretty much every theory that I mentioned could be debunked fairly quickly. But it's fun to imagine the what-ifs in games. It's what makes going back to older games so much fun. To realize things you may not have noticed your last playthrough, and to imagine what could have happened. This is AdventureBlur, and I'll be back next time.